Greek islands between England and Ireland on a 1541 map. Andros, Lemnos, and Minoas. Andros is an island about 2 hours ferryboat ride southeast of Athens. And then you have Lemnos being the North Aegean, close to Turkey towards Istanbul. And you have Minoa, meaning referring to the island of Crete of the Minoan Empire. And this is the map as you can see here. Minoas is supposedly the Isle of Man between Scotland and Ireland. Man, the Isle of Man, which is a volcanic island. But why were they named with Greek names? Well, we know that the Spartans had gone up there and were establishing cities there. They had trade up there from antiquity. And not only that, but they were the Danites, the tribe of Dan. And they had even gone to Scandinavia, to Denmark. Denmark. Yes, they were the tribe of Dan. And they were Hebrews. You can see that in the Old Testament, in the book of Maccabees. The Spartans were, in fact, Hebrews. And when the Maccabees needed to have an alliance, they formed an alliance with the Spartans because the Maccabees knew that they were Hebrews. The Spartans answered them saying, we have written evidence of our genealogy dating that we are saying that we are sons of Abraham, and whatever you have belongs to us, and whatever we have belongs to you. And they had a very strong alliance, the Spartans with the Hebrews, the Maccabees, which were about 150 BC. They retook the Temple of Solomon, the second temple, and rededicated it to God after the pagan Greeks put an abomination up there. Anyway, that's all in the Old Testament. Even the Old Testament confirms that the Spartans had Hebrew roots. So they had gone all the way up to Scotland and Ireland. And it's no surprise then that they also named these islands after Greek islands. And most probably it's because the people from those islands settled in those islands. The people from Andros settled on that island of Andros. The people from Minoa settled on the Isle of Man, so on and so forth. So this publication was from the Geographical Narrationis Libri Octo, published by Gaspar Treschel in Vienna and Lyon in 1541. It's the second edition of the geography of the ancient Greek geographer and cartographer Claudius Ptolemy, a work of the 2nd century AD. We know that Ptolemy was one of the original Ptolemies, was one of the generals of Alexander the Great. He was Alexander the Great's empire after his death was split into 4 and taken over by his very able generals, and Ptolemy took over Egypt. And the last pharaoh of Egypt, as we know, was Cleopatra. And Cleopatra, even though she was a female, she was considered a pharaoh. That was when we had the demise of the pharaonic empires of Egypt. She tried to have an alliance with Rome, and that didn't work out. She had an affair with Julius Caesar, and then after that with Mark Antony. And so that was the end of Egypt. But it was taken over by the Romans, of course. Now, this is Ptolemy's work of the 2nd century AD, republished by Michael Villanovanus, known as Servetus, in 1511. He lived between 1511 and 1553. Now, between the islands of England, you have Ireland, Irene, and the island of Andros, Lemnos, and Minoa. Apparently, naval colonies and bases. The naval bases of Andrias, Estonia, Limni, and Pinocchio Minoan, and their voyages from there also went to America, but also to the north, to the line of the far north. And they went to, obviously, they went to mine copper and tin. And we know that they even got to the Great Lakes region of Canada and the United States. And the Minoan DNA is found in the Native American Indians, and obviously it's found there because they were Minoans. They were from ancient Crete, from ancient Greece. And the geologists have recently found that over 500,000 tons of copper has been mined from the Great Lakes ancient quarries. And they have found ancient mining tools there. And they said, well, who took the copper? Obviously, the copper was taken back to the old countries because they needed it for, their statues and their shields and their armor and their helmets and swords and everything. And they left a little bit of copper for the baubles for the Native Americans to wear as their jewelries and necklaces. But most of the copper was removed and taken back to Europe. So the Isle of Minoa today retains its name, a paraphrase to Man, the Isle of Man. It's a very special island with very deep traditions. Now, Andros, Lemnos Minoa, islands between England and Ireland on the 1541 map, as you can see. And the source is Civilization Archive, March 5th, 2020. And tell me what you think. Very fascinating indeed. Okay, so this map is a genuine map, and it tells us that these islands had these names. Please leave your comment. Thank you for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.